Hi, welcome back to my clinic. How are you? How's it going? Welcome back to my channel, Tiff. How's it been? How you doing? Welcome to this video where today we're gonna talk about the books that I feel are criminally underrated. In today's video, we're going to talk about 15 different horror books that I think you should read if you haven't already. People do not talk about these books enough. People need to be on the internet every single day just screaming about these books. I can't do everything. I'm not equipped to do the Lord's work. Like, I want to, but I can't. Maybe God gives his hardest battles for his strongest soldiers. Even I am not perfect. Before we get started, let's quickly hear a word from today's sponsor, listening.com. This video is very kindly sponsored by listening.com. Are you ever worried that you don't have time to read everything you want to? Well, reading has never been more convenient than with listening.com. Listening.com is an app and a website that can turn PDFs, websites, emails, and textbooks into audio. That way you can listen to them on the go. Listening.com frees you up so that you can listen and learn anywhere you go. Personally, I am absolutely amazed and in love with this idea. I regret so much that in my university days, I didn't have a tool like this because there was nothing I hated more than reading my textbooks and going through paper after study after study and like reading through all of this research. It frees up so much time. It allows for multitasking. One of the many features that I love about this app is that while you're listening, if you hear something and you're like, wait a minute, I want to remember that, that's important, you're able to quickly add notes for important information that you want to remember. Additionally, it's super easy to upload PDFs, like I said, websites, emails, textbooks. You simply upload it. It takes about 2 or 3 minutes and then it's available. What they do automatically is it breaks it down for you. So if you're listening to, say, a scientific paper or like a research paper, it'll break it down via like abstract, introduction, etc., etc., etc. And finally, you're able to, with listening, choose from a multitude of voices. Whether you have a preference towards like men's voices or women's voices, you have the option. Not only that, there are multiple of each. So if you like a little bit like a more raspy voice, kind of like me, you can have that if you want to. If you want to try listening.com, you totally can. And for free. Check out the link in my description and get a free trial. Start listening to PDFs, emails, textbooks, whatever you want. Start doing it. This service is so revolutionary and I'm so happy that they reached out to me. I'm genuinely so excited about it. Again, don't forget to check out the link in my description. Get yourself a free trial. Bing bada boom. Find out how amazing it is. Thank you so much to listening.com for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. Let's go back to the video. Thank you so much to listening.com for sponsoring this video. Let's talk about underrated horror, okay? First of all, I want to talk about Biophobia, which is by Christopher Fowler. This book looks, understated. It looks simple, blah, 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 blah. But honestly, this book had my heart pitter-pattering. It was pitter-pattering, okay? In case you're like, Jordaline, what is that about? Let me tell you, you sweet little angel pumpkin pie bitch. Fuck. In this, we're following Callie. Callie just got married. And you're like, that's amazing. That's great. Good for her. Not quite. Because Callie got married to this guy named Mateo. Mateo is from Spain, I think. Yes, he's from Spain. Mateo is like, Callie, darling, let's move to Spain, where I'm from. It's like, you know what? Fine, Mateo. I would absolutely love to move to Spain with you. So they do. They move to Spain and they move into what is called the Hyperion house. The thing about this house, like, it was literally built so that at the peak time of the sun being up, the entire house would be illuminated in light, doused in it. After Callie moves in, she gets curious. She becomes a little curious kitten. She's just wondering, like, what is going on with this house? What's the history? I want to know about all of it. Callie finds like these back hallways, these back rooms that were meant for like the help back in the day. Callie, who used to be afraid of the dark when she was a teenager, has this fear of darkness come back. And it says, and I quote, "Somewhere in the darkness lies the truth about the Hyperion house, but some doors should never be opened." Nobody talks about this book, But the way that this book had such like a visceral reaction within me, reading it, my heart was pounding. I was flabbergasted at some ports. And not only that, like the ending has this twist that is completely crazy. I really, really like this book and nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. Let me know down below if you have read it, if you're going to read it. I want to know. I feel as though nobody really talks about this book, maybe because it's not available physically. I think you can read it digitally. I honestly didn't check. I should have. I want to talk about Larry by Adam Millard. Do you see this, Tiffany? Oh my God. Imagine you're a guy. Your name is Larry. Larry Travers. People call you Larry Pigface Travers. Back in the day, in like the 70s, you would put on like a little pig mask, you know, just don it. You would go out and you would go to camps and you would just fucking kill teenagers. That's what you would do, Larry Pigface Travers. But you escaped. You were able to get away from the law. It's 20 years later, 30 years later. You're older now. I think you're living with your mom and you're like, I just wish I could go back to the old days, the good old days where I'd put on a little pig mask and kill children. You're like reminiscing about the old days where you would butcher children. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. And so you, kind of like a senior citizen at this point, put on your little pig mask again, and you go out with your little hatchet and you go to camp again and you start killing kids. That's what this book is about. And okay, again, nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. How absolutely campy, stupid, ridiculous, kind of hilarious this book is. I really liked it because I thought it was literally funny. This is honestly just like a fun, campy, gory slasher about an older man who just misses the good old days where he was a serial killer, you know? Isn't that what we all want to read about? I talk about this book all the time. And I truly believe, honestly, that I'm the one keeping it alive. I don't want to say that I'm responsible for all of the sales of this book, but like, am I? Maybe this book has a movie. I feel like I'm the only one who's like obsessed. And I don't feel like that's fair. I'm talking about No One Gets Out Alive by Adam Neville. You're like, Jordan, bitch, get over it. Like, stop talking about that book. You talk about it all the time. And you might be right. Okay? You might be right. Maybe I am obsessed, but I will never stop. It's the question of, were you silent or were you silenced? I've been silenced. Actually, I haven't. I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, this is about a girl named Stephanie. Stephanie's poor. Stephanie grew up in poverty. She's in the cycle. Stephanie's life recently gotten even harder because she like recently broke up with her boyfriend. She basically is estranged from her entire family now. She's living in the city and she just moved there. And Stephanie is like, I need a place to stay, somewhere cheap, somewhere easy. So she finds that there's this like giant house, this mansion kind of place where the room is like ridiculously cheap. She can rent a room for like dirt cheap. And so Stephanie takes it. Like maybe it's a bit run down. Maybe it hasn't been cleaned in a bit. Like maybe the landlord is kind of skeevy and gross. But Stephanie is like, I need this. And the price is fucking right. Stephanie starts living in this house. And the first night that she's in this place, she is in bed, getting ready to slumber. And she does fall asleep. And then eventually she wakes up to the sound of scratching, seemingly at the floor. Stephanie also begins to hear whispering in the walls. Weird, suspicious. And thus begins Stephanie's horror of trying to leave this house. It's not like a fun, easy thing. Let me convince you on this, okay? I want you to get out there and become a soldier of love for this book. That doesn't make any sense. I want you to leave this video thinking, I'm gonna read No One Gets Out Alive, I'm gonna love it, and then I'm gonna get out there and just be like, read this book, because everyone needs to read it. Because this book, in my opinion, my humble opinion, is less about the fear and horror of ghosts and more about the fear and horror of men. This is one of the books in my life that has actually terrified me. I'm scared of the things in this book. The movie, I honestly feel, doesn't even come close. Excuse me, sir. Even come close to how absolutely horrifying this is. You're probably thinking, Jordan, talk about Southern Gothic horror. Fine, I will. We have Blackwater by Michael McDowell. This is a bind up of all of the novel. We can't have nice things. This is a bind up of all of the novels. I believe there are 5 novels. I'm obsessed with this edition. It's absolutely stunning and gorgeous and beautiful. This is a saga of a family in the South called the Caskey family. Specifically, the addition of a woman named Eleanor. And it's kind of crazy. It's kind of cute. Oscar Caskey, one of the sons of the family, is like on a boat, and he comes across this woman, Eleanor, standing in the middle of a swamp. And it's been like flooding. It's been not great. Oscar and the person he's with are like, oh my God, this woman, she's not well. Like, she's been trapped because of the flood or whatever. They help her get out of the swamp. And then Oscar and Eleanor fall in love. And it's beautiful. The only thing is that Eleanor might be a swamp monster. Eleanor might be some kind of eldritch, ancient being, creature that needs human blood to sustain herself. She might be magic. I don't even know what to say. Reading this is an experience that is indescribable. I love this series. I love the cast of characters. I would honestly say that it's less horror and more like family drama, but there are moments of very real horror. Specifically, I think there was one scene where a child was like killed and like dismembered. It was wild. Nobody talks about Michael McDowell in general. I'm keeping his memory alive single-handedly. If you haven't checked out Michael McDowell, if you haven't read Blackwater, do it. Do it. Just do it. Okay, do you hear that? At first I thought, excuse me, sir. Oh my God, my cat is annoying the fuck out of me. At first I thought it was like my cat's, but I think it's my neighbor's. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Sir, can you please? Let's talk quickly about an author. There was kind of a thing where people thought that she wasn't gonna keep writing books and that she was gonna take her books off the market. And a lot of people, including myself, were heartbroken. I'm talking about Samantha Kolesnik, but thankfully I believe Samantha has retracted that statement and she plans to, I think, re-release certain books and then also release new books. I want to recommend just Samantha Kolesnik. I've read 2 of her books. My favorite, honestly, is true crime. In this, we're following a girl, I think her name is Susie. Susie and her brother, Lim. Susie and her brother murder their mother. Susie's mother was sexually exploiting and abusing Susie. One day, Susie just had enough and she just hits her over the head with an ashtray. And her mother is still alive when her brother comes home. And Susie is like, hey, mom is like half dead because I hit her over the head with an ashtray. Can you like finish the job for me? And so Lim, being the good brother that he is, chokes her with telephone cord. Then they go on the run. It's wild. Waif is much weirder, I think. Waif is like a woman sees a man in a grocery store, becomes obsessed with him, thinks that he's like the perfect man. This woman is married and her husband is like, okay, you're like obsessed with this guy and it's like kind of rude because I'm standing right here. And her husband is like, okay, I'm gonna get plastic surgery so I can look exactly like this guy. He goes to a bunch of plastic surgeons and they're all like, we're not gonna do that. That's like unethical. Finally, this random dude is like, I'll do it for you. Things do not go well. Things do not go as planned. It's a weird book. Overall, though, Samantha Kolesnik writes, in my opinion, very feminist, rageful books. The commentary on womanhood, the commentary on the patriarchy and capitalism and like all of these things. She does horror, but it's like a smart, like girly pop kind of horror. I love this woman. I think I would give her my soul. Let's quickly discuss this book, which a while ago, years ago, back in the day, and I wasn't even a booktuber. I know, a sad time on the internet. There was a booktuber, I think she's still making content, named Jennifer Campbell. She recommended this book. I was a huge fan of Jennifer Campbell back in the day, like huge. She recommended this book, and so I read it because I was a disciple. That's The Dumb House by John Burnside. This is more, I feel, as though like literary thriller kind of vibes. The chokehold this had on me, the chokehold it kind of still does have on me. This book is horrifying. We're following an inside the head of a sociopath. We know in the beginning of the book that this man has killed his own children. He's killed his twins. One thing that this man is like obsessed with is this story. The story is about a dumb house and a prince. This prince wants to know if language is inherent or if it's taught. The prince is like, okay, we're gonna take all of these motherfucking babies. We're gonna put them into this dumb house where they're not gonna have any access to language language. They're going to be cared for by like deaf and mute nurses. And then we'll see. Our main character, the psychopath, is like, wow, that's a crazy story. I relate to that. And he wants to know also what the effect of a dumb house would be. He's also very interested in the human soul. He wants to see it. He wants to feel it. He wants to like bear witness to it. I feel like no one talks about this book anymore. In my opinion, we should bring it back because it's horrifying, but it's beautiful. It's literally gorgeous. The first line of the book is literally, no one could say it was my choice to kill the twins any more than it was my decision to bring them into the world. Right off the bat, he's like, I'm a psycho. Let's talk a little bit about some classic horror. I have Slimer by Harry Adam Knight. Bro, this cover gives me the best feelings. There is truly nothing more stunning and perfect and beautiful than this cover. It doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Anyway, this is about a group of people who are on a yacht smuggling drugs. You know how sometimes you're just like on a yacht smuggling drugs? Unfortunately, their yacht sinks. They're all in this like lifeboat situation and they see this oil rig and they're like, hell yeah, thank God we can finally go and get help. They get on board at this oil rig in the middle of the ocean and they're looking around looking for someone. There's no one there. There are no people aboard this thing. And soon it becomes very much clear that there is something aboard the rig with them that is not human at all. This book is like a creature feature mixed with like black comedy, kind of like a slasher also. Like it has all of these elements. It's like very campy, but it's also like very, very scary. Like there was one part of this book where I kind of almost had to put the book down because I was like, Jesus Christ. It's genuinely so much fun. I loved the journey of reading this. It's just like creepy, campy, kind of funny. And the cover. I do want to read more, honestly, of Harry Adam Knight's stuff eventually. Let's talk about Old Country by Matt Query and Harrison Query. Bro, why in the name of Lucifer is no one talking about this book? This book came out and it was kind of like here and there, whatever. Where are the people reading it? Where are they? Bro, the way that this book lives rent-free in my head. So Harry and Sasha move into this house and they are so happy about it. Sasha and Harry are like, oh my God, it's the perfect size. Like we can like grow into it. Not only that, but they have like land and like their dog and blah, 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 blah. Their neighbors come up and they're like, hey, oh my God, you're our new neighbors. Welcome to the neighborhood. Like, cause it's also kind of like in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. Their neighbors are like, let us like show you around because we were really close with the people who lived here before you. These people, of course, like an older couple, are showing them around, being like, this is the field and this is where you could put cows or whatever. But then they're also like, just so you know, every year we have these like rituals, and you're gonna have to do them. You're gonna have to do them. Otherwise, like bad things will happen. But anyway, okay, so that's where the cows can go, and then we have like a horse pasture, and the couple, Harry and Sasha, are like, be so fucking for real right now. You're pulling our leg. Like, that's a funny, weird joke, but like, I don't like it. And the couple are like, we're not joking. This is very much real. It's like very much a thing that's gonna happen. So you need to be prepared for it. Because if you don't do it, very bad things will happen. Basically, the couple are entrapped by this thing, this being, this idea. When I tell you that the beginning, the first ritual, I was like, oh, this is like nothing. It's no big deal. The second ritual, the third motherfucking ritual, the visceral reaction in my heart and my bones, bro. There's a reading vlog of me reading this book and there is like footage of me like for the first time hearing some passages and it horrifying. I still think about them. I still dream about them. This is like one of like the more visceral, reactionary horror books I've ever read. And I fucking love it. The only thing I didn't love was the ending. I want to talk about Crossroads by Laurel Hightower. I haven't read anything else by Laurel Hightower, but I really, really want to. Her books always look really fucking cool. This book destroyed me, and not like a fun way either. It was like kind of like sad. This is about a mom. Her son has died. He died like a year ago, and like a lot of people in her life are kind of like we get it, like it's really hard, like you're very much still grieving, but like at a certain point you kind of have to come back to the real world. And our main character is like never coming back. this is my life now. I am now a shell of a human being because I've lost something so dire and something so important to me. And then one day she's at her son's grave. She digs up a bit of earth, happens to accidentally bleed into the dirt, and thus begins this kind of quid pro quo. Is that how you say it? Quid pro quo, Clarice. This like message, this communication was something. This entity is taking more and more and more from this mother, and this mother giving and giving and giving because she's desperate for a moment longer with her son. Bro, the ending of this book made my lungs, my heart, my eyeballs slip through my body into my asshole. I'm not even joking. I was not okay. And I honestly don't see how anybody could be. I loved this book like a lot. And I honestly kind of want to reread it because I don't remember a lot of it. I just remember like, being enamored with it. And that is Beneath the Stairs by Jennifer Fawcett. I'm the only one promoting this book the way that it needs to be promoted. This is about a girl. When she's in high school, she went into a house, this notoriously haunted house, with her friend. And they both came out of that house, kind of. She came out fine. Her friend, her best friend, came out losing something. 20 years later, she's living in the big city, and she gets a phone call. She gets a phone call from her friend's parents, by the way, she hasn't spoken to in years, and they're like, hey, just like let you know, your friend from all those years ago, she's in a coma because she tried to kill herself inside that haunted house you guys tried to go into. Do you remember? Yeah. By the way, how are you? Anyway, so she went in and she tried to kill herself, and now she's in a coma, and it's like not going great. Nobody's like having fun. And so could you just like come back to your hometown, to this place, and maybe just like just visit, because I feel as though like she heard your voice, maybe that would help. We would just love it if you would just visit it, if you just like come to see her. So our main character gets this phone call, and she is like, oh my god, that is wild. I should absolutely go and try to do whatever I can to help. So she goes, and in going, she begins to unlock, question, investigate this motherfucking house and what happened and what is still happening. It's like almost perfect in terms of like a haunted house story. Really, for me, a hit and miss. Like sometimes it's just not done well. Looking at you, Anya Alborn. But anyway, no tea, no shade. Kind of, actually. Anyway, I loved this. This was really, really good. 10 out of 10. Speaking of haunted houses, let's talk about The Spide House by Johnny Compton. This book came out, and then literally nobody was talking about it. What do you mean? Bro, I read this book and my worldview expanded. This is about a man and his 2 children. He's got an older daughter and a younger daughter. They're on the run. It's not great. They're on the run. They're trying not to be caught, not to be seen, trying not to be noticed. One day they're sitting in a diner. They're like, we barely have any money left. We barely have a place to go, place to sleep. Like, what are we gonna do? So the father is looking through the like want ads, like the job ads in the newspaper, and he sees an ad that's a bit too good to be true. The ad is basically like, hey, come stay at this like house called the Spide House, and we'll give you like $100,000. So the dad is like, wait a minute, free housing, and then also you're gonna give me a butt ton of money, a money that could change our lives and get us to safety? Seems a bit too good to be true. But he still goes, and he meets the people who are interviewing for this position, and they're like, bro, we really like you. We really like your vibe. We really like it. The dad is like, just want to make sure though that this is like safe for children. My fucking kids are with me. I don't want them to get hurt. And they're like, oh my god, you're such a good dad. Of course it's safe for children. If anything, it's like super safe for children. Just like love your vibe. And we honestly would love to give you this position. Welcome to the family. That's literally it. They move in. When they leave, the dad and the daughters, the people in that motherfucking room are sitting there being like, wow, it really sucked that I had to lie about the house being safe for children, but like, what am I gonna do? They're perfect. The twists and turns, the character development, the ending of this book, the scary shit that goes on, bro, it's terrifying. It's terrifying. It's like dramatic. It's like haunting. And it tells like just like such a beautiful story about like familial love. Ugh. Let's talk about Suffer the Children by Craig DeLuey. What are you girlies doing? Who are you recommending books to? Especially if you love, live, laugh, vampire shit. You love vampire books and you haven't consumed this motherfucking thing. Also, the audiobook is stunning. R.C. Bray, who is like one of my favorite audiobook narrators, narrates it, and his voice is butter. And this is about our world, kind of. One day, there's this like disease that just like sweeps the nation, the world. And children all over the world, all over the place, are dying. It just so happens that the majority of children under, I think, like 10 are dead. They have to like excavate giant sections of earth to create mass graves of these dead fucking kids. It's horrifying. Millions, billions of parents are grieving the loss of like the only real light in their lives. 3 days after this tragedy, people are working to move the bodies of these children into the mass graves. They're all in body bags. Someone notices squirming movement from within one of the bags, from within multiple of the bags. And they open the bag to find a child looking at them, trying to move. Suddenly, days after all of these children have died, they are being reanimated by nothing. They're just coming back to life as if that's a thing that can happen. Parents everywhere are like, I'm not even gonna fucking question it. I'm just happy that my little Susie, my little Timmy are back. Only thing, Tiffany, is that the children come back different. The children require blood. A lot of blood. And so parents everywhere start giving their children blood, but it's never enough because the children need a certain amount of blood to sustain themselves. And thus begins just the craziest vampire novel maybe ever. What I will say also is that this is the kind of book that like lulls you into a sense of security, into a sense of comfortability, and then it will literally fucking switch up on you. It will flip it and reverse it on you at the end of the book. You're wondering, I didn't even notice that we were falling so far into insanity. Bro, it's such a good fucking book. Not only that, again, a visceral read. A lot of these books are very visceral. Let's talk about 13 Stories by Jonathan Sims. I love this book, okay? Basically, this is like a short story collection. Stories, however, converge into one. They all kind of connect to each other because it's all about people who live in this one apartment building. It's horrifying and it's weird and it's interesting. Like all of these stories have like a very different vibe. Again, I see nobody ever talking about this, and I think that's literally a crime because this is like one of my favorite like short story collections, even though it's like barely a short story collection. It has like everything. It has like creepy kids, like fucking creepy wizard people, ghosts. It's weird, but it's so fucking good. The final novel, Tiffany, that I want to talk to you about is called The Devil in Silver by Victor Laval. I want to talk about this book every single goddamn day of my life. I want to get on this channel and just create content just for this book. That's it. I want to be a booktuber who only ever reads one book, this being it. That doesn't exist. Is there a booktuber on the platform who only reads one book? If there is, let me know. Anyway, this is about a guy named Pepper. Pepper is on the wrong path in life. Pepper gets caught by the police. The police are like kind of angry about it though, because they're like, listen, you're a piece of shit, obviously. We're not. We're police officers. We hate you. But it's like literally 6 a.m. Our shift has literally ended. We don't want to deal with you, because having to take you to the fucking jail and like process you and like writing a report, it's a whole thing, Mr. Pepper. We don't want to do it. So what we're going to do instead is put you into a psychiatric hold for 48 hours. Then we'll come back for you and whatever. So they take Pepper to the facility to hold him, even though he does not need psychiatric care, even a little bit. And on the first night, Pepper sees a man coming out of his ceiling. And this man is older, but also, most notably, he has the head of a bison. Pepper is forced into a world where the patients of this psychiatric hospital are being haunted by a man, by a monster with the head of a bison. It's a weird thing. Bro, this book was like spooky, but the writing also was beautiful. And I cried because you really come to understand Pepper and see him. I can't even. The characters, the writing, the horror, the ending, I love this book so much. If you have not picked it up, if you have not even heard of it, rectify that, my dude. My good brother in Christ. This is so good. My friends, my family, my familia. Thank you so much for watching this video, for being here today, for listening to me and, I don't know, being cool or whatever. Don't forget to hit subscribe because we talk about spooky shit, we talk about creepy shit, we talk about Slimer and old countries and shit. Thank you so much. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books. Let me know also what you think is underrated in horror. I would love to know. Also, let me know if you have any other like ideas, any other requests, like recommendation videos that you want to see from me, because I love filming these videos. I love talking about horror. Please let me know. Okay, I will see you later. I'll see you in my next one. You're gorgeous. You're stunning. I love you. Bye.
Like sun and rain and drama on the TV. It's full of pain.